Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the WordPress Dojo. This is Anthony Navarro, and today's webinar is running your web development business. So any of you who are not only looking to learn WordPress itself, but looking to generate income as a profession, either part-time or full-time, this is the webinar for you. This will not be so much a technical webinar as much as it is a business webinar. So this is one of the added value of the WordPress Dojo membership, where you not only learn what you can learn from various resources, the technical aspects, but some practical business aspects. And this is certainly from firsthand experience. Some of the things I'll teach you to do based on what I've learned not to do. And it's always good to get wisdom from people who've had that type of experience. Some people say experience is the best teacher. I said, no, other people's experience is the best teacher. I'd rather not make other people's mistakes. Well, great. So the first question you would ask yourself is, why are you in business? What is it you're looking to get, or what is it you would like to do having your own business? And in this case, it's a web development business. Certainly, number one, if you are already employed, you're looking to supplement your income. Or if you are unemployed and getting unemployment, or looking to create a secondary income or a primary income while you're in that primary job search, that is certainly an option as well. Secondly is you might need to pay off some debt. You might be at a point where you are earning it as fast as you are paying it out, but you're not really able to get over that financial hump because of interest rates or the various debt burdens, whether it's kids going to college or a mortgage or some other reason. But you just need to have a secondary income to help accelerate that debt payment process. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Dave Ramsey financial training course called Financial Power, but his debt snowball is a wonderful tactic to knock off debt. And one of the ways he talks about that is creating secondary and tertiary incomes. And web development is certainly a way to help accelerate that snowball and pay off your debt. And having financial freedom. It was a joyous day when my wife and I paid off our final car loan and knew that the only thing we had left going for us was the house. And that is certainly a feeling I would love to share with anybody else who is looking to do that through their web design business. Thirdly is you could be in business just because you're having fun. Web development is a fun career option. It is something that I certainly enjoy doing. There are certainly all different kinds of people and all different kinds of industries. I don't think there's hardly any two websites I've done that have been alike, nor have there been two types of individuals I've worked with. So the variety is great. And if you ever look at the Tony Robbins aspects of the 6 human needs, one of them being variety, you certainly get the variety of creating different types of websites and having some fun learning while you're doing it. For those who have just joined onto the webinar, joined a little bit late, just a reminder, if you're a member of the WordPress Dojo, you can log into the wpdojo.com/chat, and you can ask any questions during this webinar. Otherwise, enjoy the show. Finally, time freedom. One of the things of owning your own business is you can have your own schedule. Now, it is not certainly that you goof off 16 hours a day and you work for 2 hours a day. You do have to put in work to your business like any business, but you do have some flexibility. So for instance, 3 mornings every week, I meet with various groups, whether it's a men's group or the Toastmasters group or a business networking group, and I can also go to movies in the afternoon and catch matinees. Although I don't often go to the movies because I have my own home theater, but I can do that. I have the time freedom. I can take a Friday afternoon off and go pick up my nephews who live about 2.5 hours away. We can take entire days off. So the time freedom is there for having your own business, and especially a web development business, something that's not brick and mortar or that you have employees. And finally, life management. You might be looking to develop your own business because the 9 to 5 just isn't doing it. And again, if you have family obligations or other lifestyle obligations that you would like the freedom to do, for instance, taking a Friday off and seeing your nephews, or taking every Thursday off to volunteer at such and such a type of organization, volunteer your time, you can create your lifestyle. Certainly, too, you could be in a situation that you just have an unpleasant work environment. pretty much a Dilbert story, having that bad boss, and it's just crushing your lifestyle. So you need something to look forward to. And building a web development business on the side is a very easy in the sense that there's no major risk. There's no big financial risk. There's no major career risk to starting a second career, which can eventually become a primary career. So your lifestyle and looking forward to growing out of a career you're not happy with and growing into a career you'll look forward to doing is certainly a goal why you would start your own web development business. All right, so choosing a business identity. There are various ways to do this from the legal standpoint in terms of incorporation, LLC, DBA. Number one is that understand you are an owner-operator. If you are a web developer, you're probably going to be primarily a one-man shop. There's really not going to be a need to hire employees. So it's a very low-key business from that standpoint. You the man, or you the woman in that case. You are the one person in charge of your business destiny. From the standpoint of what type of business entity you'd like to create, that is something that you have an option to do based on, in one sense, your audience. Are you in a high-risk environment where, say, you're going to be building a lot of websites for lawyers or a lot of websites for accountants or something where you might possibly be at risk? Or something where if a website goes down, someone might sue you for lack of business income. In that sense, they should have had a business interruption insurance. But, we just live in a litigious society, so it's something that you have to be concerned with. So choosing your business entity is all about liability. And I would say in the beginning, don't worry about it. You invest as you have need. Initially, when you get started with your business, you're not going to be making high-end websites if you're just getting started. You're going to be making maybe some mom and pop websites or some neighborhood business type of websites or church websites or not-for-profit type of websites. So those folks are not going to give you any legal liability, but you're going to have to be concerned about that possibly in the future as your business grows. The quickest and easiest thing you can do is set up a business entity, basically known as a DBA, doing business as. And this is what I do. I don't have any high-risk clients. I don't choose high-risk clients. I like easy clients. I like doing things easy. And that's one nice thing about being a web designer is you get to choose your clients. When you work for a company, you don't get to choose who you work with or who you work for in most cases in terms of a manager. But with web design, you do. You can say during initial talks, this person is this is gonna be a rough road to hoe. I don't care what the fee is. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Your schedule's booked. Whatever you need to do. So a DBA has, in essence, no liability, but it does let you set up a business name. So in my case, I have TNT Development Systems. So I can receive checks for my work as Anthony Navarro, or I can receive checks in my company name and deposit them into the bank as a company. So it gives you a level of professionalism, and it also gives you a separation where you can, in essence, say this is my business income and this is my personal income. And from an IRS standpoint as well, you can separate all your expenses. So there is a value. You don't have to even set up a DBA, but if every company you go to, you say, hey, make the check out in my name, it's just one level of professionalism that you can add by having a business. And it's the simplest, easiest thing to do. And all you have to do is go to your county clerk's office and register your name at the Register of Deeds, and it might cost you $14. In fact, I think one of our dojo members here just registered his business name, and he just spent about an hour at the county clerk and got his registered name, went down to the bank, opened up a bank account, and he was set. The second level, if you did want to go that one next step, is what would be known as an LLC, or a limited liability corporation. And basically, it is a simple corporation in the sense that you are still the sole income earner. All income you have is taxed personally, like personal income, so it doesn't have a corporate shielding of any way, but it does limit your liability in the case of, say, if you had an e-commerce website and these people did $500,000 worth of business every year and the website gets screwed up and they say, oh, you cost us 60 grand, we have to sue you. The LLC will give you that capability to shield your personal assets. But again, that's a level of complexity that you don't need to worry about in the beginning of your business, but it might be something you want to look forward to down the road. If you think you're going to have employees or have another level of complexity added to your business, you very well might to make a full incorporation, and you can have an S Corp or a C Corp. And the scope of this lesson, I'm not going to go into the details of that, but you can get plenty of information, go to a tax preparation person and tell you the benefits of that if you need to. But if you're going to do payroll and inventory and other things like that, that's where incorporation, full-blown incorporation, would come into play, or contracting out regularly. But I wouldn't worry about that. Yes, there's a question, or actually a comment in the chat room. If you wanted to look at the various options of an LLC or the various corporation entities, there is a website called The Company Corporation, and they can help you set up any state. In fact, you don't even have to be in the same state of incorporation. For instance, I live in North Carolina, but the state of Delaware is very friendly to corporations and very friendly in terms of anonymity. So if you had a reason for security purposes to hide, not so much hide, certain information, but if people are looking to get sued or find out officers of a company, there's an advantage to incorporating in Delaware. But again, that's outside the scope of this particular class, but it is very good to know that there is a resource at the Company Corporation, and they give things at a very good price. LegalZoom is another resource you can look at as well. All right, so again, if you're getting started, a DBA is a great way to get started. And the first thing you would want to do is set up a business banking account. Because again, if you have a business name, John Doe Web Development or Cyber so-and-so, you just create your business name, whatever you want to do, and you can receive checks with a DBA and then open up a business bank account. And as I mentioned, it just adds a level of professionalism. So people can see on your business card, people can, when they write you your check or when they see your website name, oh, this is a real company. It's just not a guy sitting in his bedroom watching, with his cat and whatever else, watching television and building websites on the side. It just makes you look like a real company, which it does. The other thing it does is it does separate your expenses of your business from your personal account. And we'll get into that as far as one of the biggest advantages of running your own business is the ability to write off business expenses. And it actually removes that tax burden from your personal income. Outside of real estate, having your own business, whether you're doing network marketing, website development, lawn care, cat sitting, dog sitting, house sitting, having your own business is the number one way that people can help reduce their tax burden. It's about the only legal way that individuals can do that today, outside of running your own corporation. So and we'll get into that a little later in this seminar. So when you accept payments, again, having a business bank account is a great thing, but how will you accept payments from your clients? A great way, obviously, cash is king. Woohoo! We love getting paid in cash. But if you watched our last seminar on how to charge the right amount for your services, making sure you're getting paid what you're worth, you don't want to be accepting multi-$1,000s in cash, and certainly people aren't going to give you multi-$1,000s in cash. So a lot of times you will be paid in checks, company checks, corporate checks, or personal checks if you're making a website for an individual. And it does help to have a business bank account, again, just looking more professional. If you wanted to, or if you already own your own brick and mortar business and you have a credit card machine, you might have your own merchant account, or you can get an online merchant account and accept credit cards manually. But again, that's an extra expense, the hardware, getting your merchant fees and all that other stuff. So unless you already have a merchant account, I wouldn't recommend getting a merchant account. There's better ways to take credit cards than opening up a traditional merchant account. One funny story, there's a little coffee shop in my area, and it's adjacent to a automobile repair place. And it's actually a mom and pop thing. The husband runs the auto repair shop and the wife runs the coffee shop, but they share the merchant account. So when I go there and she swipes my card to get coffee, it says ABC Automotive Repair, the name of the company on the credit card. So I got to remember to tell my wife, yeah, it looks like my car was repaired for, $3.80, but it was my coffee. Don't worry about it. They're just saving money on their merchant account. But again, adding a level of professionalism, being able to accept credit cards. The better way, and I recommend this for entrepreneurs or independent people like ourselves, is to get either a Square account or a PayPal Now account. They're both free of charge to the individual, and they just charge a small transaction fee. In the case of Square, I think it's like 2.75%. And PayPal, it might be 2.75, 2.5, something like that. But either way, you can accept a credit card right off the bat, right there at the client, with a low fee without having to invest in any hardware, because they sell you or they send you that little widget or dongle that attaches to your phone or iPad or tablet for free. And if you wanted to get it right away, like if you knew you were seeing a client, you can go to the Apple Store and buy one of those Square swipes for $10. So just to say, oh my goodness, I have a client, I'm going to take a credit card. And it's the coolest thing. The first time I used this, it was just the coolest thing, because I had my little cash register program on my iPad, and I tapped out, okay, you want a website, and you want this, you want this, you want this, bing, here's the price. They gave me their credit card and I swiped it, and they were stunned. They just thought it was the coolest thing, paying me in a coffee shop with a credit card. So just the bling factor of having a Square or PayPal account could give you an advantage where you can get payment right away, as opposed to, oh, I'll have the administrator send you a check. And the quicker you get money, the quicker you can start your business, because you don't want to do any work without getting paid. On the chat room too, we have a recommendation for paydot.com. So I guess we can look at that as well. The last thing, and this is fun, is bartering. In this day and age, we certainly have a tax burden. We have a business burden by our government. And there are actually entire municipalities creating a barter network. So someone who mows your lawn might exchange it for massage services, or someone who's a CPA might exchange it for farmers' grocery services, kind of thing. And this is a fun thing. If this is not something you do regularly, because you do want to make income. This is a business that you generate income from. But for instance, I have a client who offers a service, and if I was to pay for that service, it would have been about an $8,000 value. Likewise, I built the website for them. They got a wonderful website that they were totally satisfied with. I got to be a member of their service, which I then was very satisfied with. No money changed hands, but we both offered services. And bartering, going back into the old days, quote, the old days, your farmer who grows chickens might exchange a bunch of chickens for someone with milled wheat. So he'll have flour or bread. And so today we see that in the line of services. You have something I want, you have something that I've got, we'll just swap it and we call it a day. So the same thing can go. If you have an accountant and they might want a website, or hey, I'm starting my own little web design business and I need an accountant, I need a CPA to handle my taxes, how about you do my taxes and I'll build you a website? So all kinds of different ways of doing that. If you like getting massage, I have an account at Massage Envy. You can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Masseuse, would you like your own website? And then you exchange massage services for building a website. But it's got to be a win-win as well. You don't want to put 60 hours worth of work into something and you get something where you got maybe 10 hours worth of value. It does need to be a win-win. But again, this is not something you do regularly. This is something that you would do when the time comes, or if there's an advantage for you. So how would you then provide a quote to a client? First thing I'd say is, if you haven't already watched our last webinar, Creating Your Webmaster Money Machine, basically you're creating products and services for a client. So you can say building a website costs X, and having a maintenance program costs X, and having a retainer system so that I'll do regular maintenance on it. Updating your blog, updating this will cost X. So you need some way of quoting this so you can tell a client how much their website's going to initially cost, and then how much the monthly, quarterly, or annual fees will be. And taking from that class, we do bill by the service or by the value that we're going to add to them. We're not going to bill by the hour. So whether it takes you 3 hours to build a website or 30 hours to build a website, you're not charging by the hour. You're charging by the service. And that's how you get paid what you're worth. You're paid by the value. So you can write it down. Okay, a website costs X amount, and this service costs Y, and this service costs Z. So meeting with a client, you want to be able to show them something professional. And you can write it out on paper, or if you have an electronic device, there's a couple great ways of doing this. I love using what's called the Square Register. Again, using the little dongle that you would charge with a credit card. They have a cash register program. And I have them in categories. So I can say, here's your podcasting services, here's your photo types of services, here's your hosting types of services. Do you want shared hosting, dedicated hosting, or WordPress specific hosting? And it's like a little cash register. And you basically create your whole suite of services. And right there, bing, 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 you configure their website, they swipe their card, you get to work. That's a great little utility. Another invoicing program I use is called QuickSale, which is available on the iPad as well. And same thing, you can go to different categories and say website service categories, podcasting service categories, and so on and so on and so on. So it's just a great way to organize your various services, and they can see in hard numbers what it will cost for them to have their website built by you. And again, hopefully having the same, even greater value provided to them. So you have your value proposition again. And if you don't have an iPad or an iPhone or a laptop to show this to them, no problem. You can just create an Excel spreadsheet. And what I'll do, yes, to answer your question there in the chat room, I will be making some examples. I didn't have time to do it before the class. I will be making available an Excel spreadsheet for the various services that I've got here, so you can have something you can start with and then modify it for your particular situation. So for instance, you might not offer graphical services, in terms of graphic design, because you're not a graphic designer, you don't have an expertise in Photoshop, so you wouldn't use that section, but you'd customize it according to your particular situation and your particular skill set. And that skill set will expand. For instance, in the beginning, you might know how to build websites, but you don't do responsive websites or e-commerce websites yet. But as you develop that expertise, you would add them to your Excel spreadsheet or your Word document, whatever it is, so your clients know what services they can have. All right, good deal. All right, well, making money is one thing. Keeping money is the other. As they say, how much money you make isn't as important as how much money do you keep. So the other aspect of business is not only income generation, but tax reduction. And there's a fine line between what's known as tax avoidance and tax evasion. Tax avoidance is perfectly legal and perfectly moral. You are not obligated to pay the government any more than you have to. In fact, it's your obligation. If you're providing for your family, if you're providing for your ministry, if you're providing for yourself, you are obligated to keep as much money as you are legally allowed to keep. You do not give to Caesar what Caesar does not deserve. But you do have to pay taxes. There is a tax burden upon all of us. We do pay to Caesar what is due to Caesar. So we do have to make sure our taxes are right. And the goal of tax reduction is to look at our revenue and subtract our business expenses and see, okay, this amount that's left over, that is our taxable income. And our goal is to make this number as small as possible. So what qualifies as a business expense? Well, I'm providing this meeting using GoToMeeting. There is a monthly fee. That fee is a business expense. I deduct that from my monthly or annual revenue. If I have business cards that I have printed up, that's a business expense. If I go to meet a client at a Starbucks, I write off 55 cents per mile round trip, and I write off the cost of that coffee. Everything involved in producing income, meeting with clients, everything else is a business expense. The laptop I'm producing this podcast on, the microphone that I am speaking into, the DSL service I have, the external hard drive I have that archives all of my classes. Everything I use in producing income, or that's associated with producing income, is a tax deduction. It's a business expense. So you want to reduce the amount of taxable income as much as possible. Now, there are tons of ways to do this. And your average tax person is not going to make that extra effort to find every little deduction for you. That is your responsibility as a business owner. So the more you want to retain, the more work you'll have to put into it, but it is well worth it because it's money you get to keep. You've heard of the saying, a penny saved is a penny earned. So likewise, the less money you can give to the government, the more it is that you actually earned at the end of the day. I just want to give a reference to a resource that I have used and I have found worth every penny. I'm not making any money on this. This is just a straight recommendation. There's a gentleman by the name of Sandy Botkin. He used to be an IRS trainer, and he is now in the business of reducing business owners' taxes. The book, Lower Your Taxes Big Time, is about $22. You can probably find it cheaper on Amazon, even used. He has a new edition that comes out every year. But he also has an entire audio series with workbooks and stuff like that as well. I'm not sure the cost of that one, but I know it's more expensive. It's probably like $120 or something like that. But even that is a business expense. And he gives incredible advice where you can take advantage. Again, owning your own business is the only tax hedge that the average American has today. So in order to help you keep as much money as possible in your web development business or whatever business you own, you want to use every technique that's available to you, every legal technique, that is. This is a small list of what's on his website that explains what he does to help you lower your taxes. How to deduct movies, plays, season tickets, how to deduct parties in your home, how to bulletproof your entertainment expenses from audits, how to deduct vacations, how to deduct travel, how to deduct your car expenses. All these different things, how to deduct your home office, and how to structure any activity as a business activity and not a hobby activity. I'll give you one example. There's a gentleman who started a WordPress website, and it is based on woodworking. It's called The Wood Whisperer. And what he did, it's an amazing website. He tells you all about woodworking and stuff, and he blogged about it. But he was using it as a business. He sold products and services or his podcast or his membership system. So what he loved to do, woodworking, every expense related to woodworking is a business expense. So he takes his hobby and he deducts everything from it and uses it as a business deduction because he runs a business website called The Wood Whisperer. So if you have an honest expectation of profit, that's the last reference down there in that final bullet. It is an honest way. I'm honestly using this to help grow my business. It's a tax deduction. And it's very creative. You can go to the nth degree on some of these things. But again, this is just a great reference for you to look at to start your checklist as to what it is you can deduct from your business. And of course, I am not a tax professional. I'm not an accountant. I am not going to take any responsibility for any actions that anybody does in their own business, but consult your own tax planning professional when you do this, if you do. I mean, when you're running a DBA or a single business, you can, in essence, still do your own taxes. It's not rocket science, as long as you're using TurboTax or something like that at the end of the year. But this book gives you some amazing techniques that you just don't even know about, that you can legally reduce your tax burden. And again, you want to keep as much money as you can without giving it to the government. All right. So when you're tracking all your business expenses, so just like you're creating your invoicing system so you can generate income, you need to create an expense tracking system so you can track all your expenses so that you can deduct as much as you can out of your business. If you have an iPhone or an Android or iPad or something, you can use a plethora of different programs. The one I like to use is called iExpensit. You can track your income and your expenses, and it will give you reports. If you don't have an online device and you have a Franklin Planner, say, the Franklin Planner system has an expense envelope. So you can put in your envelope all your receipts, all your invoices, all of your little checklist. I drove so many miles here, I drove so many miles there. And on a monthly basis, you could just summarize everything. And at the end of the year, ba-bing, you have your totals. It doesn't have to be super high tech. You just have to track it. And so at the end of the year, you can retain, again, as much income as you want. You can throw this in a Google Doc or a spreadsheet. If you're watching this webinar, I know you have internet access. You can use an Excel spreadsheet or a Google spreadsheet to track all of your expenses. And again, I will make a template available for everyone for this webinar after I post the video. There's a couple tools as well that are handy for invoicing your clients. When you get a client and you initially bill them, that's one thing. But how about your recurring services? Okay, I built a website for $4,500. Cha-ching, thank you. I got my $4,500. What do I do now monthly? Every month I charge them X amount for hosting services, for retainer services, for content development services, all the other services I have there. So how do I keep track of that? You can use a spreadsheet, again, but there are a few utilities you can look at online. One of them is called FreshBooks. It's a very popular invoicing accounting system. Basically, they're calling it cloud accounting. You can get a free trial, take a tour, do the whole thing, but it's a very cool system that you can set up monthly invoicing and other things like that, reminders. It automatically emails them. They can do online payments. It's very cool. Secondly, if you have a PC, of course, there's QuickBooks for the PC. I'm on a Mac, and I like using Billings for the Mac because I can have my invoicing history, records, add, remove, create, delete, email, everything from my Mac or from my phone. So it's a great one-time payment versus FreshBooks, which is a monthly payment, and you basically have your whole history there. So every month, the first of the month, I log into my Billings program and say, okay, ding, 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 send these invoices. Oh, I got a check in the mail. This one's paid. This one's paid. This one's paid. Oh, these guys are late. Charge them a late fee, resend the invoice again. So you do want to keep track of your invoices because it's no sense in being in business if you're not getting paid, and you're not going to get paid unless you invoice people. So one of the goals too in a web development business is you're going to have your immediate income and your recurring income. And recurring income is best tracked with some form of billing software. There's also one called Zoho. It's web-based, so it's like FreshBooks. It's a little less expensive, I believe. And the Zoho actually has a full suite of business packages. They have a contact management package. They have their invoicing package. They have all sorts of stuff, presentation package in there, as well as a word processor. It's kind of like Google Docs or Google Apps for the professional, because they don't just limit themselves to word processing, spreadsheets, and presentation package. They have a whole suite of business tools on there as well. And that is a very good package. Again, outside the scope to look at a full feature list, I'll probably do a full class on Zoho in the future because it is a great tool, and I respect it. I think it's really good, but I'm more the app person than the online person in some ways, and that's why I prefer Billings myself. So I prefer a computer-based package or an iPhone app as opposed to the online service. But that's up to you. You find out how you work. Do you prefer having everything online, or do you prefer having some things on the computer? It's totally up to you. One of the questions in the chat room is how to find clients. A very good question. So here we go. You're in business for yourself. You have your business cards. You have your business bank account. You are in business. You're ready to start charging people. So you have your invoicing system or a spreadsheet or some way to do that. How do you promote yourself as a business? Many different ways of doing that. Number one is every website you build, you need to put your name in the footer. And that way everyone can say, wow, that's a really nice website. I need one just like it. Da 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 da. I've had about 4 or 5 clients come to me based on other websites I've done. Oh, I'm going to set up a gun range. Let me look at other gun range websites. Oh, this website looks great. Let me look down here. Oh, who built their website? Or I have a batting cage business and I need a website. Let me look at other batting cage websites. Wow, this one looks really good. Who built that? You find business from other people, especially in niche markets. Because if you're in a small market like a gun range or a batting cage, these small businesses, they're going to be looking for other people that have done websites and want to see what they've done and see if they got some good stuff. So it's a great way for free advertising. The more websites you build, the more clients potentially will come your way based on that. A second way is a networking club. I actually belong to a local club here in Cornelius, North Carolina, near the Lake Norman area called the Lake Norman Business Connections. We are a group of people that get together every Tuesday. We drink wine, we hang out, we exchange business cards, we exchange stories, and we give shout outs. Hey, so-and-so gave me a referral. Hey, so-and-so gave me a referral. They're free a lot of times because people just want to network. There's value in people networking together in various businesses. So every community ought to have a networking club of some kind. If they don't, you can start one for free. Just start one up and start recruiting and say, hey, business owners in the area, we're going to get together and network because everyone needs business. Do you need a plumber? Do you need an accountant? Do you need a web designer? Do you need a dog walker? Do you need a baker, a dentist? All these different industries get together in every community because it's good business. And very few people, proportionally, are website builders. You'll find more people in other industries, and those industries all need websites. That's another way of finding ways to promote your business and your services, who you are, is networking clubs. Thirdly, and if you give presentations, Toastmasters is a great way to do it. I'm a member of our local Toastmasters, and when I gave my first little Toastmasters speech, which is called the Icebreaker, when I was done, I told people what I did for a living, I told people where I came from, da 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 da. Right after I was done, 3 people asked me for my card because either they needed a website or they knew someone else that might need a website. So a great way to not only help you professionally, but also a great way to find website clients. As a business in your area, you ought to be registered with your Chamber of Commerce. You don't have to do this initially because there probably is a fee. And if it is price prohibitive, you might not want to do that if you're just getting started. But that's one of the techniques of building your business is never pay out of pocket something that someone else can pay for. For instance, say your Chamber of Commerce membership costs $190. Well, you haven't built a website yet. Build your first website for $200. Bing, it's paid for your Chamber of Commerce membership. Second client, you bill them $500 for their website. And okay, now I can get business cards and get this and get this and get this. Other ways of promoting yourself. So you don't have to do all these different ways of promotion in the beginning, but just look at the various ways and see which ones work for you and which ones you're going to grow into. Another one that's really good to do is meetups. Now, you don't have to do technology meetups all the time. You just want to get to know other people. So if you are a wine aficionado, you enjoy wine, find your local meetups about people that drink wine and go hook up with them. And people will find out, well, what do you do for a living? I build websites. Likewise, if you enjoy rollerblading or you enjoy painting or you enjoy water sports, find a meetup in your area, meet up with these people. And it's not always who you know. But the question is, who do they know? If they know that they know someone that builds websites, it's networking. It's who they know. Oh, I have a friend. They have a business. They just got started. They just started a dog walking business. They just started a baby shower business. They just started a so-and-so business. Meetups are free for attendees, but you can also pay a small fee if you want to host a meetup. So you might have a great hobby, woodworking, and you want to start a woodworking club. Well, you're going to meet other people in these meetups. Likewise, you're self-promoting yourself every time. Well, yes, I'm a woodworker. I also build websites. I'm a so-and-so, and I also build websites. So you're networking with other individuals. Another way of self-promoting is your blog. Whether you, again, are a woodworker or a dog walker or a stay-at-home mom, you can promote yourself on your blog. I know one stay-at-home mom, she has probably 600-700 people that follow her blog, and she's got some hilarious stories. She's a wonderful mommy blogger. That's a whole different dynamic of person is the mommy blogger. I'm finding more and more of those people out there. And if she was building websites on the side, that's just one way. Hey, I do this. I build websites. I stay at home with my baby. I build websites, and I happen to write some really funny blog entries that everyone loves reading. And every time they come and read her entries, they also are exposed to the fact that she builds websites and she gets business that way. So choose your topic. Could be politics, could be religion, could be automobiles, a NASCAR. Start a blog and just post every day. Post something small. Post something, a little video blog, anything you want to. And that's a way to get people to see who you are. Obviously, Facebook and Twitter. Those are great ways to promote because as you start growing your business, you can start promoting the things you are doing. Like, oh, I'm going to be attending the WordPress Dojo class on starting businesses. Oh, I'm going to be attending a class or hosting a class on how to install WordPress from scratch. Oh, today we're going to be doing XYZ with WordPress. You start promoting everything that you're doing, how to build a website in 10 easy steps, whatever you're going to do. Every day, tweet something. Every day, post something on Facebook. So self-promoting, and this is just scratching the surface. We can host an entire webinar on various ways of finding clients, recruiting clients. But the number one thing is networking for us, especially when we're getting started. And I don't want people to spend any money on advertising. I don't want anybody spending any money on pay-per-click ads. I don't want anybody spending any money on, anything you don't need to except business cards. Business cards are the only thing I would recommend you actually spend cash out of pocket in order to promote yourself, because that is something that everyone uses and in essence everyone needs. But you still don't need to spend money out of pocket. So for instance, promotional materials. Every time you meet someone, yes, you want to have a business card. You can get business cards for free. Vistaprint is just one of a number of companies that you can sign up, instantly set up a template, and they'll mail you 200 cards, 500 cards, 700 cards. So you don't have to spend $1 on business cards. You might have to pay postage, but that's a no-brainer when you consider the value you're getting out of that. And your cards don't have to be fancy. I actually spent some time, I like playing with graphics, so I spent a couple days building my own business card, and I went to the local print shop, and I gave him a high-def PDF of my card, and You don't have to do that. Your card can be as simple as your name, and I love this card. I did a Google search for creative business cards, and this is one of them. Colin is my name. Just imagine, John is my name, Jeff is my name, Rob is my name, Charles is my name. You choose your name. That's your card. That is actually memorable. And so you don't have to spend money, but you can be clever. And you notice what he's done. I mean, everything is in lowercase on the Colin is my name aspect. Usually a business title is proper caps. The first letter of every word is capitalized. So what's he got? His name, his email address, his cell phone. That's it. So get a Colin Wright, website developer, cell phone and email address. Beautiful, elegant little business card. So that's the number one thing. If you were to spend any money on anything, it would be business cards. But outside of that, I wouldn't spend any money. When the time comes, you can, as you start generating income, look at additional ways of promoting yourself. You might want to invest in a logo. Again, as a self-employed web development guy, you can probably find a logo on the internet for free that will work just fine. If you wanted to get a professional logo made, 99 Designs is a company that I've used to create the logo for the WP Dojo. If you look down at the lower right-hand side of the screen here, you'll see my logo. $250, the best $250 I think I ever spent. Now, this isn't for my web development business, but it is for a service. It's the WP Dojo service. So if you ever branch out into additional services like graphic design services or hosting services or consulting services, social media consulting services, you can at that point look at getting a logo. But for your own web development company, you can just use some generic logo. Do a search on Google for, just search for logo in the Google image database, and you'll find something that's for free, or free logos. And you'll find something that's appropriate for a card, or even something on Vistaprint that might do it for free. All right, next one would be promotional material. The next piece of promotional material would be obviously your own website. You need, as a web developer, to have your own personal website. And I mentioned this on one of the other WP Dojo trainings, that initially you should have your own personal website, so you can have johndoe.com, and your own professional website, johndoeswebdevelopment.com, or whatever you want to do. So at minimum, people can see 2 websites you've built and say, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing. He is a web developer. I've seen at least 2 websites. And then as you develop websites, whether you do your first couple for free or cheap or barter, just to get your name out there, you do 2 to 3, no more, at a decent price, something they can afford. And now you've got a portfolio, and you continue to grow and continue to grow and continue to grow. So your website should minimally have a portfolio page, a services page, and your contact page. And everything else after that is fluff. So you want to have your services. I build websites, I do hosting, I do some graphic design, I do some of this, I do some of this. You list all the different services you have on your website. So that's one aspect of promotion that you would do. Finally, and again, this is something you probably wouldn't do day one, would be shirts or a business polo of some kind with your logo on your shirt if you invested in a logo. This is something where I walk out and everyone asks me, oh, what do you do? And I point to my logo. I'm a web developer. So it's one way, again, and this is a business expense. So you actually one of your first business deductions can be clothing. So you can get logos done very inexpensively. I think my logo costs about $7 each, $6.95 to put on a shirt. So you can go to Goodwill and buy a boatload of polos really cheap for maybe $4 or $5 a piece, and then go to the logo store and say, here's my logo, and they'll digitize your logo and put it on your shirt really cheap. Promotional materials for a self-employed web developer are minimal. You don't need brochures. You don't need banner ads. You don't need anything except business cards and then a little bit of swag, your shirts or maybe some mugs or some other things you might want to give to clients or something like that. Yes, I will be offering a printout of this lesson. You will also have, obviously, the full video that you could watch again later, and I will have examples of those various Excel spreadsheets. So your potential invoicing spreadsheet and the other examples that were given in this lesson will be available. Well, great. At this point, unless there's any other questions in the chat room, that is all I have for today. So this is, in essence, getting started running your web development business, how to set up your business entity, how to start tracking your business expenses, and how to make sure that you can aggressively track your income using invoicing software to create your invoice for your initial website and also to be able to track your recurring services. The two biggest important things is generating income and managing your expenses. As far as tax reasons go, you want your expenses to be high, but you want them to be legitimate. You want to keep the money that you earned, but minimize your tax burden. But you also want to promote yourself in such a way, but not in such a way that you're spending all your money on advertising. So we're just shy of an hour here, and I don't see any more questions in the chat room. I want to appreciate everybody for attending. Again, my name is Anthony Navarro, and this is the WordPress Dojo, where your webfu is strong. Please leave a comment on the board below the webinar. Let me know how you liked it. If you have any additional questions, please use the forum as well. And if you want to promote this to somebody, please click on the social media like, tweet, and pin, all the other ways you like to do this. The more people that know about the WordPress Dojo, the more interactive our chat will be, and the more interactive the website will be. So I want to appreciate everyone here at the WordPress Dojo community. Look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Have a great afternoon.